Hey, Colby back again. So, welcome to the marketing and platform building part of my creative roundups for 2017. So, basically, most of the marketing and platform building that I did this year obviously had a lot to do with recruiting a large reader base to my mailing list, which is one of my bigger successes in marketing for this year. But I do still need to continue to turn those readers into super fans and also focus on collecting super fans. So in the 2018 marketing video, I'm going to talk about those goals and how I plan to go about those goals. And hopefully my plan will work. But that was one of the major marketing accomplishments and achievements for this year. But other things that I worked on included, and let me look at my list here. I definitely put a lot of work into building out not only the New Adult Noir blog, but also my Colby R. Rice author blog. And those obviously were two major cornerstones of my business booming this year as an independent author and creative entrepreneur. So, as you guys may know, www.colbyrrice.com is my author website with all my books on it, my information about me, my media empire in progress, etc., etc. And so I developed a lot of that this year. I definitely built out the About Me page a lot more, which I know to some people, even doing an update on this is kind of crazy and maybe might be useless, but it does take a lot of time and effort to literally build a website out with content. So, and it just makes your online presence look a lot more professional. So I've been working on building out those parts of my author brand. Same thing with New Adult Noir, which I started completely from scratch as of June of this year. And I have spent quite a bit of time building out that website, not only through its content, but also just through all the promos that I've been holding and hosting on that website. And now we have a really lovely, steadily growing collection of books, both free and not free, available on the New Adult Noir site, which are specifically geared towards the dark and gritty side of sci-fi fantasy horror and sci-fi fantasy horror romance. So I'm really excited. There are more things I need to do for that site for 2018, but we'll talk about that in the 2018 video. I also spent quite a bit of time developing the websites for the Blackheart Bakery and the Blackheart Boudoir, which are slated to open come October 1st, 2018, and will probably close around December 15th, I think, just so that, I have enough lead time before the holidays to get all the orders out and everything like that. And I'm super excited about the Blackheart brand and specifically what I plan to have on offer for the Blackheart Bakery and the Blackheart Boudoir. And I've been building out the websites to reflect what those offers will be. They look incredible thus far, and I am super excited to have these websites and be setting them up and putting in the order system and, developing everything behind the Blackheart Boulange brand. But the only thing that I do need to do, and again, this is coming in the 2018 video, is that I need to have actual pictures of my actual products. So right now I have holder spaces on the website with alternative products that are not the ones I'll have on offer. But still, even in those holding spaces, with those holder images and holder text, the website looks really great. And so I'm excited to continue building that out in 2018. Another thing that I did in terms of marketing this year and that I will be continue to build and then launch next year is I started a complete overhaul of my fan group and brand on Facebook. I figured now that I have actual readers and some of those readers are super fans, many of those readers are on my ARC team for the next book coming out in 2018, it's really time to start developing a space online for the super fans of my work to come together and chat and just dish about, basically what they're excited about with regard to my books, my series, or whatever it is they want to talk about. It doesn't have to be all about me. And so, as you guys might know, if you're already on my mailing list, my email tribe, my reader tribe, the place that we habitate if that's the right word, the place we inhabit is called Off-World. And so everyone who was a fan on my list is called an off-worlder. And so I'm creating a Facebook fan group specifically for my off-world mailing list. And then I'm also going to create a super secret Facebook group specifically for, the very elect members of the off-world crew who want to be a part of the street team and the ARC team. And that will be, I believe, the off-world high council or the off-world, dark council, or the loads of the lords of off-worlding darkness, or something like that. It's going to be fun. I'm going to have like a fun little theme going on for my super VIP fans who are always going to be there to push products and to do reviews, and who are going to get free swag, free books for the rest of their lives, free giveaways. So look out for that in 2018. I will be recruiting specifically for the Off-World High Council, for the Lords of Dark-Heartedness, and I will be looking for those elect members of the Off-World crew to become a part of my Arc and Street team. So stay tuned for that. Okay. I also really tried my best to at least establish the Rebel Ragdoll Press, and to a certain extent, the Rebel Ragdoll Productions websites and blogs. Those are very preliminary. I literally just went and uploaded the themes to these websites. And now it's about, if you know anything about building a website with WordPress, it's a lot easier than developing one from scratch, but you still have to put work in. You still have to have content. You still have to have graphics. You still have to organize the website based on the different template offerings, and you still have to make it nice. Your website doesn't come immediately formatted. You have to sort of format it yourself with drag and drop and all these things, and it takes time. So this is a big accomplishment for me, because basically for my entire author career, I've been talking about Rebel Ragdoll, the press, and Rebel Ragdoll Productions, but I haven't had a URL specifically geared towards any of these businesses, and I need to have that set up. And the main reason why I haven't had that set up is because I don't really have any products available for Rebel Ragdoll Productions, except or the Rebel Ragdoll franchise, except for my books. And then I just realized, you know what, that's actually good enough. There are things that you can do on a company website that will still provide a really slick, gorgeous, amazing landing page for your site, while also telling people what your site is about and what your projects are, whether they have already been completed and published, or completed and produced, or whether they are in progress. So that's going to be the move toward in 2018, is just developing out those sites and fleshing those out more thoroughly. The next major area that I saw a lot of growth in was the podcast realm. Now, if you guys know anything about what I was doing in 2012, like right before, I really became really serious about my author career, I had started not only my blog for the first time, like my first blog ever, but I also started doing like a radio show through Blog Talk Radio called Rebel Ragdoll Radio. And, it actually became relatively popular pretty quickly, especially since we were in the earlier stages of the publishing, like phenomenon. And then because of graduate school, I just unfortunately had to taper off, and I lost a little bit of traction. But I believe I only got to about episode 21 or 22 of Rebel Ragdoll Radio. And I actually still relatively, I won't say consistently, but at least every now and then would pop in on the blog with a blog post. But the Rebel Ragdoll Radio project pretty much tapered off, and stayed tapered off until, essentially like early 2014, when it started middling and bubbling back up. And I really did not kick that entire idea back into gear until I established The Bohemian Badass at the end of 2015. And I just soft launched The Bohemian Badass. So this wasn't even, like a full launch of The Bohemian Badass as a business. This was just me building and developing the franchise and the brand. So I started the Be Badass podcast, which itself has been sort of middling. And that was in late 2015 and also a couple times throughout 2016. But then in late 2016 is when I started to get really serious about podcasting on a more regular basis. So that is when I just started basically popping in onto YouTube and recording a weekly vlog of my creative journey as a Black female sci-fi writer. And I did that through the end of 2016, like sort of very close to the end of 2016, and literally all throughout 2017, with some breaks in between as graduate school has gotten more challenging. I don't think I've ever gone any more than 3 weeks max without posting a podcast or posting a vlog on my creative achievements for the week. And even in those times, I usually made you guys aware of whether or not I was going to be on here updating the vlog. And then at some point, I forget when, throughout the year, I think it was maybe mid-semester in my fall semester, I decided to actually turn this vlog into a fully fledged podcast called The Epic Fantastical Journey of a Black Female Sci-Fi Writer. And basically, I went through all of my past vlogs. I ripped the audio from those video recordings. And then I reformatted the audio. I created a space for the podcast on my actual website. I set up all of the behind the scenes annoying technical stuff to get, all of my audio onto iTunes, onto Google Play, and onto, Stitcher, and onto the RSS feed. And I literally created an actual podcast based on the weekly vlogs that I had been doing that entire time. And so now, I'm really thankful for this. This is episode number 52 of the fantastic journey. Epical. See, I still can't say, I will be able to say this title at some point before the end of 2018. But this is episode number 52 of the epic fantastical journey of a Black female sci-fi writer. And I'm really, really proud of that. I'm proud that I've created a weekly accountability podcast that not only updates you guys on what I'm doing, but also serves as a running journal for myself so that I can look back on this in a year, in 5 years, 10 years, hopefully even 20 years, and be able to see the massive growth that I have achieved since I started this officially in 2016. And I just think it's also really important to have public accountability to what it is you're trying to do. Otherwise, people might not take you as seriously if you don't follow through. So that was, for me, was a major accomplishment. And so I also, just on the tail end of that, did record 2 more podcasts for the Be Badass podcast in 2017. Again, obviously I want that podcast to be way more frequent than just twice a year, obviously. I would like it to come out at least once a week, if not twice or more a week. But right now I'm aiming for the basic once a week podcast every Wednesday. So my updates for the Epic Fantastical Journey podcast will be coming out on Mondays. But the Be Badass podcast, I want to come out on Wednesdays. And the Be Badass podcast is an accomplishment for me, but I do want to make it more consistent. And I do want it to focus specifically on giving necessary hand-holding, tutorial level information on how to build a creative business from the bottom up, brick by brick, and how to also hone your craft as a writer, as a filmmaker, as a game designer. And I'm just hoping that I can continue to distill many lessons from my personal journey from this podcast and literally turn the Be Badass podcast into less of a personal update podcast, but more of a, hey, this is how you kill it on your email marketing, or this is how you hit 3,000 a word day word count when you have a full-time job and 5 million kids or whatever. That's the kind of podcast that I'm trying to create for the Be Badass podcast at The Bohemian Badass. And so you guys will see more development on that next year in 2018. But I'm still, despite the fact that I wasn't able to record as many podcasts for the Be Badass podcast this year, I'm still proud of the 2 that I actually was able to create. So I'm trying to acknowledge my success and my failures alongside themselves. Okay. The next major thing that I actually accomplished in marketing is that I had 3 either live or pre-recorded radio and podcast guest appearances this year, which has never happened for me or to me in my entire life, personally or as an author or a creative entrepreneur. So the first appearance that I had, literally the very first radio appearance that I had, was a live real-time radio spot that I actually was sort of, I wouldn't say forced to do, but there was no choice, and I had to be the one to go on live radio and market our MLA, or our Tucson Celebrates MLK Day event that was happening at the University of Arizona. And nobody had time for it, or they just didn't want to do it. So Colby had to kind of step in and be terrified and appear live on radio. And when I say radio, I don't mean, like Sirius, which Sirius radio is great, but I don't mean like, the satellite radio, where things could be pre-recorded or what have you. I'm not talking about a podcast. I'm talking about like a live, this is WKLM Fresh, at 3 p.m. Like that kind of, turn your car radio on radio. And it was terrifying. But it was the local radio company that I went to record at and to do my interview with was really cute. And I don't say that in a condescending way. They just have like a really lovely setup in a great house with a great sound studio with a great, radio team. And they're just awesome and warm and welcoming. And apparently, I totally rocked the interview. The people who had told me to go and do this interview were listening in to make sure that I didn't completely screw it up. And they were really impressed. So I was also impressed and happy with myself. And just, I don't know, it just pushed my creative development into an entirely different territory that terrified me, and I still went in there and conquered. So that was a really proud moment for me, and it actually sort of opened up, I wouldn't say the floodgates, but opened up my willingness to do other events like that. So I did 2 more live sort of radio-like events. One was a live podcast interview with Andy Peliquin and his co-host at the Fantasy Fiends podcast. And that was really fun and really exciting. I not only got to talk about my work, but we also talked about just like a lot of fun things around fantasy. I being, I think, probably the only person of color who's been on their show thus far. I'm sure they'll have more. Definitely talked a lot about how to ethically and efficiently and effectively write multicultural characters, how to describe them in fiction, how to bring different cultures into fiction. And so I really hope it was helpful for them, and it was helpful for me because I started to realize that I did have a process by which I did such things. And I hope it was helpful for the people who were listening. And it was live, and it was great, and it was fun. And then we also read the prologue of my debut novel, The Given, of the Books of Ezekiel series on air. And we used like funny little voices, and that was really fun. And also kind of like dark and scary, like, oh my gosh, this woman writes some dark, gritty, horrible stuff. So that was fun. And then I also appeared later in the year as a speaker, a pre-recorded speaker, at the Space and Sci-Fi Convention that was hosted by Bill Hargenrader and his co-collaborator. And that was pre-recorded, but it was also still very nerve-wracking because I knew lots of people were going to see it. And I offered a free incentive as a part of, coming to my quote session, my online session at the convention. And I thought it was really great and wonderful. And so I'm really excited about those 3 appearances that I made this year. It was the first time really that I had appeared on anybody else's actual recorded podcast or radio show. and that was super exciting. I had appeared previously as like a guest poster or like a guest interviewee, but it was a pre-written interview and it was posted as a blog post. So that's still great, but it's a very different animal than having to be in vivo on your feet and still be charming and also eloquent and also give great delivery. So that was nerve-wracking, all of that, but I feel like I really grew in that area, and that was a huge accomplishment for me. Book marketing. This is getting a little bit longer than I wanted for it to be, but that's okay. These are my accomplishments. So just bear with me, guys. I think my biggest accomplishment for 2017 in book marketing, was the fact that previous to this year, The Given had been sort of very sporadically included in the top 100 free new adult and college fiction list on Amazon.com. Prior to that was like 2016. Prior to 2016, my book was nowhere on no list, honestly. Basically, The Given was relatively invisible, which makes sense because I wasn't doing anything to market it. I was basically being a stay-at-home mom, losing my damn mind, and also trying to make money from home so I could like help support my family or what have you. And just time in the marketplace, as well as growing my reader base, collaborating and swapping with other authors, has really helped to give The Given a much higher visibility. And where it was in the top 100 of that list off and on in 2016, now in 2017, it is consistently in the top 100, and it has not moved at all. And so that for me is super exciting and super cool, because I don't feel as though I push The Given itself super hard. I really don't. But I think my visibility in the field as an author and as a writer has increased. I believe that my marketability has increased and my reach has increased, and that has had a domino effect on elevating The Given and keeping it in the top 100. For a lot of people out there, the top 100 might not be a big deal, and I totally get that. But for me, as an author who only has 2 books out and who does, again, very little direct marketing for The Given, this is a huge accomplishment for me. I have now almost 90 reviews on The Given, whereas basically before this year I had 0 reviews on The Given and 10 reviews on The Given and Taken Omnibus when I put them together into a book bundle. So my novel was basically just kind of like not having any visibility whatsoever, and now it has nearly 90, close to 100 reviews. The Given is at about 45 reviews. The Taken, the next novel, is at about 45 reviews, and The Given is also in the top 100. That's the biggest accomplishment for me. That shows that even though my audience might be small in terms of the kind of fiction that I write, there's still an audience out there and they still want my books. So the push is going to be to not only write more books in 2018 and publish them, but also to do harder pushes, like just direct harder pushes to my list and, to other lists where necessary. Okay. Some other book marketing successes. I launched 2 successful review pushes within my email list, which is amazing. The mailing list is very powerful for getting reviews, and it also helps you to decide who are going to be the special elite unit, basically, aka your ARC team and your street team, who will go out into the field and conquer and push your book and hype your book for you, as well as give you pre-launch reviews, which is amazing, and I love it. And I'm going to definitely do more of those in 2018. I also grew my Hollow Point launch team to over 400 ARC readers within my own email list, which was a major accomplishment for me. Again, I will be probably going through in 2018 and whittling down the list and asking them if basically they want to stay on this ARC list and get my books for free, they need to go and put a review on for the given and the taken. Or either or is fine. I prefer a review for both, because it's hard to review book number 3 in a series if you haven't read both the first 2 books, and you haven't reviewed them. So yeah, that's going to be the move for 2018. I also, this is for me a big accomplishment because I have to basically create a book launch process. I created a book launch sequence, like a basic book launch email automation sequence for my upcoming book, Hollow Point, which will then be basically duplicated for all my other books that I ever publish. So whenever I publish a book and I know, let's say, a month or 2 months out that the book is done and it's coming out at a certain point in the year, I can then start recruiting people onto the ARC team for that specific book, and then put them into an automated email sequence that contacts them at 2 months out, 1 month out, and then they are in literally a sequence of 5 more emails after that, just making sure that they've gone to that they've read the book, that they've gone to review the book, and that they are then eligible for the review party, which is where lots of awesome prizes will be given out, etc., etc. So I definitely set up essentially a book launch sequence, and that is basically me taking all of the pages from Alinka Rukovska's book. She has an amazing course called the 100 Review Book Launch. I highly suggest that you guys go and Google her. Just put in Alinka 100 Review Book Launch and go buy her course. It's very affordable. And it's also just, in my opinion, it's an evergreen strategy to launch each one of your books in your series with a really great number of reviews, and in a way that's ethical and not scammy, and that also really helps to make your current list feel special while also building out a future list of super fans. And so this isn't a marketing gimmick where you can use it once and then you have to find another gimmick to get your reviews up there. Like some authors have basically like hired fake reviewers from like Bangladesh and freaking, the Ukraine or something. And you can tell that those are not real readers and real fans. And even Amazon is cracking down on those fake reviews. So you want to choose evergreen strategies like the 100 Review Book Launch. So I'll actually put a link. I'll put a clickable link on her course, so you can go right there and buy it. And yes, I am an affiliate of her courses, so it will be an affiliate link. Just FYI, full disclosure, but just FYI, I do not recommend any service or product that I have not used myself and that also has not been successful for me. Look at my books and look at how The Given has basically gone from 0 reviews to almost 100 reviews. And I didn't even use her entire process when I was getting that review. When I was getting those reviews, I just used a part of her process. Had I gone through her full process, I would have gotten probably 3 times that number of reviews. But basically, you need to check out her course. I highly recommend it. I really do. It's one of the best and most ethical and most reasonable and evergreen marketing courses I've taken with regard to developing a strong fan base who is going to review your books, who is going to stay loyal to your books, and who's going to just like love you and you'll love them and have a great relationship. So definitely check that out. Okay, the next thing that I did, aside from creating a launch sequence for my book launches, is that I submitted an inquiry and application to selling my book's foreign rights, and I did that through IPRlicense.com. IPRlicense.com is basically, just an FYI to you guys, I think it's an online outpost of the Frankfurt Book Fair, which is one of the biggest international book fairs, I believe, in the world, where all the big publishers and small publishers go to try to get the foreign rights to their books and backlists sold in real time. And so they have now an online version of that, not the entire fair, but the rights selling version of that, where they create an online form and database of your backlist, whether you're a big publisher or small publisher. And you, once you become a member and you pay the membership fee, obviously, you'll be able to be browsable by other publishers abroad and overseas who are interested in buying your works or other works in your genre, rather buying the foreign rights to your works and selling your books in the countries in which they specialize. And of course, this would include translation as well. So obviously, I'm interested in this. In my Kobo bookstore and even on my mailing list, I have quite a bit of diversity with regard to who is actually on my mailing list. Obviously, the majority of my list is located in the United States, Canada, the UK, and Australia, because those are the English-speaking countries and I write in English. But I also have not only recruited people from these countries, but sold books to people in these countries. And those include places like South Africa, like Brussels, Russia, a few countries in Southeast Asia even, which is insane to me. I have to look at the entire exhaustive list, but there was one point at which I had sold at least one book in like almost 15 different countries across the world. And these are English books. And that's really powerful. And I mean, again, this is me being a small-time, no-name author, especially compared to all the other indie authors out there who are super successful but are still not well known. I am literally very close to the bottom of that totem pole, and I'm still able to sell at least a book in a foreign country. That feels very powerful for me. And I know that if I put my book on the market and give the foreign rights to other foreign publishers who know their markets better, who basically live and breathe their publishing markets on both through the traditional route and the ebook route, I know that I can expand my distribution even more. And I'm not, my willingness to sell rights really is limited to like foreign language translation rights, unless there is a major English speaking market in certain countries that I feel as though I can't really do as well in. So, those decisions will come in 2018, but as of now, I'm finishing up my application and we'll see how that goes for 2017. But just always trying to expand and exploit my current rights as an independent author and as a creative entrepreneur. And then finally, you guys have sort of gotten a hint of this throughout this entire segment because I've been talking about affiliate marketing. I have been looking more deeply and more critically at affiliate marketing for 2018. For 2017, I've just been sort of researching it and looking into products and services that, one, I already use and that I love and that I feel as though I can support and promote ethically. And I am also looking to try out new and different products. And I think for me, the big part of affiliate marketing, that's the most important part, is to be ethical and moral about how I market these things. And also, most importantly, to market tools and solutions and hardware that are specifically related to and geared towards what I do as a writer, a filmmaker, a game designer, and as a creative business owner / blogger entrepreneur / blogger infopreneur. Anything outside of that will probably you'll never see it on my webpage. You'll never see me recommending it, even if I love it. You will never see me trying to sell it to you. So, I'm not going to try to sell you, for example, I don't know, let's say, their electronics are a really hot commodity all the time. I'm not going to try to sell you, for example, the latest Android phone with an affiliate link if it has nothing to do with what I do as a writer. You know what I'm saying? Like, if it has nothing to do with that, I'm not going to sell it to you. You won't see me, for example, selling, the new Xbox One on my author website because it has really very little to do with what I do as an author. Now, once Chick Rogue Studios pops up and we start creating our own 3D games for those platforms, for Xbox, Sony PlayStation and for Steam, as well as for PC, then it might be reasonable for us to say, hey, pick up our games. And by the way, the Xbox One is on its biggest sale of the year, but it's also, if you buy it through us, please know that you're buying it through an affiliate link. That might make sense, but you will never see random large ticket items on my websites, on my blogs that have nothing to do with what I'm talking about, or nothing to do with making my craft or my business as an artist better. So basically what I've been doing in 2017 has been researching affiliate marketing and developing an ethical plan to generate passive income, but a plan that will also help me help you guys, because there are products out there that I do want to recommend to you that I strongly and firmly believe in. Scrivener is one of them. Dragon, Speaking Naturally, that software for oral dictation of your work is another one of those softwares. There's a hardware called LiveScribe Pen that I am literally in love with, that I would love to recommend to you guys, and I will when it's appropriate. But when I do make those recommendations, you need to be aware that those will be affiliate links. But I hope that at that point, because we're all talking about the same thing, writing, craft development, making our lives easier as business owners, that those things, being an affiliate, won't bother you, because you know that I use these products and that I'm passionate about these products. But that is definitely a way to increase, for me personally, my passive income, and I will certainly be looking into that, because we need to make money and build our wealth as creatives. So that's basically that. This update was a lot longer than I expected it to be. I am sorry about that, but marketing was pretty much on fleek this year, and I am not sorry about how successful of a year I had with marketing. And I hope that in 2018, now that I've achieved a sort of quantity level understanding of how marketing works, I want to further develop my quality level of understanding with marketing and develop quality relationships, develop super fans, develop like a tight author cabal, kind of like how I see certain authors out there have their own crews, that they roll with regard to their genres and, how they work and market together. So that's the move for 2018. And I'll talk more about that in the 2018 goal projections. So I'll see you in the next segment. Bye.